You want some dessert? You feeling like having some dessert?
I'm feeling a little hungry.
Yeah.
Let's raid the fridge.
Let's raid the fridge.
Let's see what's in there.
See if there's any fluffernutter in there. Any
Some Nutella.
some Cool Whip.
Ready Whip. Some mayonnaise.
People don't know what we're talking about, but they will.
They will.
They will soon. How are you?
They will. I'm good. How are you? You're drinking beer.
Oh, it says beer on it, doesn't it?
Good. It says beer on it.
Otherwise, I wouldn't know what it was.
You look like a contestant on some kind of cheap Squid Game situation. I don't know.
Oh, you're going to make beer come out of my nose.
Are you facing an orange wall?
I don't know what. No, I'm not. And I don't know what makes me so orange all the time. It's something with my, maybe it's a liver condition.
It's just that California lifestyle.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Running around on the beach. Yeah.
It's good. I probably even sound orange on the podcast.
No, you sound, cool blue. It's cool blue on the audio. And yeah,
I'm going to start talking like this. I'm going to start giving my friend Jack Daniel, voiceover king, a run for his money by talking like this.
How's the voiceovers going?
The voiceovers are going great in my memory. I remember those days fondly.
Remember having auditions and going to places?
Yeah, but I'll tell you something. Something interesting happened the past couple of days. I had to do this thing where people sent me things with like different names and words on them, and I had to learn them and photograph myself or film myself saying these words to send in for different. I guess they hire you for something.
It sounds like some kind of strange alien hybrid program.
It was really weird. It was interesting. A couple of self tapes, nice self tapes the past week. And you know what's interesting is my feeling about them has shifted so much that I used to resent it and get so angry that self taping, having to set up the equipment, having to do the audition by myself, having to find somebody to read with me. But now, instead of getting in the car and battling traffic for an hour and a half and sitting in a waiting room for a half an hour,
yeah,
and then going into the audition and feeling like I blew it, maybe. And now that I sort of have the setup for self-taping, that it doesn't take me forever to set it up. If I can't get somebody to read with me, I get somebody on FaceTime. It sounds like they're there. The casting director's not going to know the difference. And I'm done with my audition in a half an hour. I don't have to leave the house. And they're getting the take I want them to get. I mean, I'm never sending off the tape and saying, damn it, I blew that take. Wish I had another chance. But there is a lot that I miss too. I miss going into the room and maybe bumping into somebody.
Well, it's all about the ancillary stuff that happens when you go to an audition. Yeah, it's bumping into somebody. It's hearing about a job from somebody else. It's having lunch with the gang of curmudgeonly actors.
Yeah, it's bumping into Michael Gambon and saying, "Hey, let's go get a cup of coffee. You want to go over to the Apple Pan and get a burger?"
Yeah,
you don't get to do that anymore.
God forbid we mention the Hotel Edison Cafe.
Oh my God, those were the days, huh? And the table. Remember the table of guys?
Of course I do.
Yeah.
Matzo ball soup all around.
Yep. Marty Shakar of Saturday Night Fever fame. Danny Aiello. Not Danny Aiello.
But somebody very much like Dan. I know who you're talking. I know
who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking. Actor Studio. The Actor Studio guy.
Sam Coppola.
Sam Coppola, exactly.
Sam Coppola.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, Hotel Edison. It was, for those of you listening, don't know what it is. It's not there anymore. It's not. But it used to be a real old style, like 40s style cafe in a really old kind of, hotel in Midtown New York. So it all had a kind of a
in the Broadway area, and all the producers and actors would show up there for lunch.
It was very Barton Fink.
Yeah. Yep.
Before Barton, goes to L.A.
Manny Eisenberg was there having lunch all the time. You could meet him. The rabbi was there sometimes too.
Who's the rabbi?
The comedian. And I have early onset Alzheimer's. The comedian there's no bigger schmuck in the world than a Jew with a boat.
You're going way back.
You know who I'm talking about.
I don't know, Mort Saul? I don't know.
No, not that. The guy who seemed like he was from the old days, but he was around now.
I don't know.
You know who I'm talking about. Oh, there's something wrong with me, but I can't remember him. But he was also a rabbi. He was actually a real live rabbi.
Was he?
Yeah. One time I was in the Hotel Edison in the lobby.
Nobody ever stays at the Hotel Edison, to make it clear.
For lunch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody made a comment. I'll bet they're saying who they were. Jackie Mason. That's a Jackie Mason was there all the time for lunch. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you. Yeah, I wasn't quite getting the Jackie Mason impression.
But I was in the lobby of the Hotel Edison once, thinking about going in and getting a bowl of the soup because they have the great soup specials. And my phone rang, and I answered my phone. Hello, and it was Dad. It was Dad calling to see if I wanted to meet up for lunch. I was like, "Yeah, that sounds good. You want to meet for lunch? Where are you?" I'm in the lobby of the Hotel Edison. Where are you? I'm in the lobby of the Hotel Edison, and we turned around, and there we were.
That's
we were
amazing.
about 6 feet away from each other when he called me.
That's the thing about New York. When I used to live there, way back in the day, it's amazing how many people you would run into in a city of that many people.
Yeah.
It really kind of is crazy because you just run into people all the time. I guess you're just running in the same circles and you don't really know it. And there's only so many places you're all going to go.
You're in your lane. Everybody's in their lane in New York. In LA, I've been here for 11. I go back to New York. I come back to New York for the holidays to see you and Mom and the kids and everybody. I get off the plane. I bump into somebody I know in about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
In LA, I bump into somebody I know somewhere once every 7.5 years. You bump
right. I know. That was my experience too. You just don't really run into people.
Yeah.
I guess if you're a working actor in LA, which I've never experienced, maybe you do.
Maybe you do.
Maybe it's just me. It's quite possibly just me.
Well, as I said, people, you run in lanes, and I think you actually have your own lane.
I feel like I'm in an empty bowling alley right now.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Well, interesting. We're talking about our lanes and acting and auditioning, and I'm 1 degree of separation away from this movie, in a very special way. The movie that we're going to talk about tonight.
Okay, I want to hear about that. I've worked with a couple of people in this movie too.
We have some history here. Yeah. Which is cool.
For those of you who are tuning in and don't know, and you wouldn't know it from the past 9 minutes of the show, this is a show about movies. We talk about movies on this show, even though we haven't been. We've been talking about L.A. and a historical artifact called voiceover.
Yeah, we go off topic sometimes, but then we kind of steer back into it, like I think we're going to do now.
We're going to do that now. We're going to talk.
Well, unless you have stuff that you want to discuss.
No, I didn't see anything new this week. I subscribed to BritBox this week and started watching the most recent season of Line of Duty, which I love, but it's not something that is in the gestalt of this show. So we don't need.
Well, we don't cover television shows.
We don't cut. Well, we talked about Squid Game.
No, we didn't.
We didn't. Well, I mean.
Oh no, I mean okay, you can bring it up, sure, but we're not gonna
We're not
cover
talk
it.
about
okay, I got you. Yeah, just to be clear.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, did we talk about did we cover Squid Game and I forgot it?
The closest we came to talking about a TV show was Trilogy of Terror, which was originally a TV movie.
That's right.
Yeah. But it was worthy.
Heck yeah. So, did you see any Did you do any Halloween movies? Did you watch anything other than for our show?
No, Halloween was last week. There was a Halloween. I didn't know that there was a Halloween. There was nothing in my building. No children.
That's
It
pretty
was
scary.
it was actually scary how
Wow.
un-Halloween like it was. It was like
Really?
a horror movie where about a holiday that doesn't
Where it
happen.
doesn't happen and everybody
Yeah.
doesn't expect it not to happen.
Yeah.
And there are no children.
Yeah. That's what it was like.
Okay. Well, that's too bad, you know. I mean, just because other people aren't enjoying it doesn't mean that you can't.
No. Did you dress up? Did you do anything?
I didn't dress up, but I was on Candy Patrol. And I was up
Ah.
in, at Mom's. We went
Oh,
up
that's right.
to
You went to
hang out
like
at the
real
house.
Halloween land.
And I'll tell you, it was crazy. I mean, there's so many kids go to that town. It's unbelievable. Wasn't things have changed since I've been trick or treating. They've just changed.
Yeah.
Also, I've been in New York for so long that we don't really do Halloween here. It's adult Halloween.
Yeah.
It's
No,
after hours Halloween here.
up there in Katona, it's a little bit like Nightmare on Elm Street Halloween town.
It
It's
literally looks, yeah, it looks like a Wes Craven movie. It's
yeah.
insane. And it turned out that it's like people come from all over Westchester to go to Katona.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Because people are nice there and there are
Yeah,
porches. There are lots of porches.
yeah. So
Yeah.
there was hundreds of people.
Wow.
So that was
Any
fun.
great costumes showing up?
Yeah, there was great stuff. There was a little kid, probably 3 or 4, clearly his first, and he was in a Knights of the Realm costume, which I thought was great. And I also saw a lot of parents dressing up this year. So like they'd go trick or treating with their kids, and they were in costumes too. And
Really?
sometimes the whole family had a theme going. And the best of the night was there was a little kid, little 5-year-old kid, tiny, and he was dressed as a policeman, perfect uniform, little badge, little
Great. I can
Billy
see it
Club,
coming.
everything.
I can see it coming.
And his mom was wearing an orange jumpsuit
Awesome.
that said prisoner on the back of it, and he had her hand and she was walking him for Halloween, but it looked like he was taking the prisoner to the jail. It was hysterical.
That's terrific. That's really lovely.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, well, people are probably getting antsy. They want to hear about a
Oh, they
movie.
want to hear. They don't want to hear about us. They want to hear about the stuff.
Yeah. So,
The stuff.
so you saw this movie before. I didn't.
Okay, so this was the first time but you'd seen other Larry Cohen movies.
I had seen one Larry Cohen movie
And if you
from
say Carrie, I'm
from
gonna I'm gonna lose my mind.
no, it wasn't Harry. It was Hellraiser. No, no, it was Q.
Q. Okay.
Q,
So not only
which has
another
one
Larry
of my
Cohen
favorite
movie,
moments in movie history in Q.
I bet I know what it is.
What is it? He's gonna eat him. He
Eat
is.
him!
He's
Eat
gonna
him!
eat
Eat
him.
him!
Eat him. Eat him.
Michael Moriarty just knocking it out of the park in
Yeah.
two of the most ridiculous movies ever made. He
Yeah.
commits completely. Yeah, and he came back for more. That's the ama- That's the
Yes.
big stunt in this whole conversation is
And in
how in God's green earth did Larry Cohen get him to come back again?
yeah. Yeah. Because we know somebody who I think might not have worked with Larry Cohen a second time if he was asked to.
We do know somebody yeah. There's a few people on that list. I think he's
Yeah.
not known for like the same ensemble movie to movie. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
He has
Not
to
like
go back.
Cassavetes.
Yeah, no,
Not
no.
like Cassavetes
No
or
one's going dying to work with him or trying to clear their schedule for whenever he's shooting his next movie.
yeah.
No, they it's getting an offer from Larry Cohen must have been like a reckoning in one's life.
Yeah. Well, so tell us what this movie is about.
This movie is This is one of Larry Cohen's specialty social commentary, cheapo exploitation horror movies, with heavy social messaging in it.
Yes.
Much to its credit and much to my dismay.
Yeah. Yeah.
At
Yeah.
the same time, it's about a new kind of junk food, a new food product that is discovered. Let's say, we'll get into how, but it's discovered kind of like a yogurt culture thing, but it's sweet, kind of like whipped cream or something.
Yeah.
And they discover it and they market it, they mass market it, but there's something wrong with it. And one of the main characters is a little boy who we follow in his exploits. He's onto it. He sees that the stuff that his family just can't get enough of, and they watch commercials about it and they eat it all day long, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And he sees it moving in the refrigerator one night, and he knows it's alive and it's no good, so he won't eat it. And the other part of the movie is the great Michael Moriarty plays what's his name? Who does he call himself?
Mo Rutherford.
Rutherford.
Because every time he people meet him, they always want Mo.
Right. So
and every time somebody gives him money, he always wants Mo.
He's this kind of southern, rich
guy.
Yeah. Which seems very well researched. Yeah, I got the feeling this was all how it goes down.
How it really goes, because he's hired by the competitors of the stuff to figure out how the people who make the stuff are making the stuff because they're wiping us out.
Yeah, and it's a mystery ingredient. Like no one will divulge the secret formula or the ingredients of the stuff. To give you an idea of the kind of movie we're dealing with, I would say a fifth of the movie maybe is jingles and commercials for the stuff.
Yeah.
It's a lot of commercials, kind of a la Putney Swope, which I thought was kind of the funniest part of this movie in a lot of ways. Was with Brooke Adams and Abe Vigoda appearing in two of those commercials for the stuff. How do these things happen, Matthew?
I think it had to have been blackmail.
How does it happen that these people, he gets them? How does he get them? How did he do it?
I don't know.
How is Dad in a movie that he directed? How is Paul Sorvino there?
We know why Dad was in it.
All right. Well, that's true. We do. But Paul Sorvino doesn't have that excuse. Mira wasn't in this movie.
No. For Danny Aiello, though, this was a step up.
Well,
not. Danny Aiello would do anything you asked him to do.
He just worked. He just needed to work, and he worked all the time. And he always took his work seriously. And he always. I remember when I met him. We worked with him briefly. Was it the same thing that we? How did you know Danny Aiello?
Well, I met him on Choo Choo and the Philly Flash.
Okay, yeah, me too.
But then when I was living my other life in law school, I moved in the same, and I was trying not to be in law school, and I was hanging out with all my actor friends in New York. I moved in somewhat the same circles as he did, hanging out at Cafe Central, and I knew Paulie and that whole that whole gang.
Only thing I remember about Danny Aiello was that there is no bigger fan of Danny Aiello's work than Danny Aiello was.
Oh,
Danny Aiello was he had no problem promoting himself and his talents. In a way, I wish I had a tenth of that.
And he'd bump into you on the street and he'd talk about, have you seen this movie? I am so fucking good in this movie.
I remember that.
He cornered me once. I was walking down Columbus Avenue and he was sitting outside, and he asked me to sit down because he had to give a speech at an awards dinner. And he wanted me to listen to this draft of the speech he was going to give because he was trying to write something really moving. and he read the speech for me and actually got the tears going at the table outside
Wow.
on the street on Columbus Avenue having lunch, did the whole performance of the speech, and then was like, how is that? Is it good? Was it too much with the tear?
Wow.
Oh, okay. Wow. There you go.
Committed, man. He was
Yeah.
committed. So
But he
great.
was sweet too at the
Oh,
same
he was a
time. He
great
was
guy.
really sweet.
Oh, yeah. No, he had so much energy. I just remember him being like this incredibly robust guy.
That joke
Sadly,
about the
recently died in seeing in 2019. I knew it was recently, but not that
yeah.
recently.
Sad.
So anyway, all these people show up in this movie, including other amazing people like Garrett Morris and Andrea Marcovicci and it's
Eric
Patrick
Bogosian.
O'Neill and
great performance by Eric Bogosian.
Sadly, I was like going, oh, it's Eric Bogosian's first movie, clearly, and it's not. Yeah. He started. No. Can you imagine starting below this movie? There were movies before this.
Actually, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Doing movies worse than this.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah. But I mean, worse than this, but in his part smaller than this, like.
No,
that's the thing.
I did a movie worse than this, but had a great part in it.
That's what I'm saying.
There you go. But Garrett Morris, man, swinging for the fences.
Well, the man, he's great, but he's also deeply confused here because I don't think his agent prepared him. From what I read, he came out of this movie feeling rather confused and a little bit abused by the whole thing. And he was like, "There's
because his character's name is Chocolate Chip Charlie."
Well, I don't know if that was in the script or not. I'm sure he I don't know what he thought of that, to be honest. But I do know that he apparently said this was the most disorganized, chaotic experience of his life, and he couldn't believe it.
Well, and then he was.
And I was like, I believe it. I've seen Larry Cohen movies.
Yeah. He was asked on a talk show about working with Larry Cohen, and his response was that my mother always told me, if you don't have anything nice to say about somebody, don't say anything. And then he didn't say anything.
If you don't know who we're talking about, Larry Cohen is he's a real icon. He was a kind of a grindhouse indie filmmaker from the late 60s and 70s in New York. And he was big time part of the blaxploitation movement in the early days. I think he wrote and directed Black Caesar, and went on to write and direct a cavalcade of really cheapo, really ridiculous horror movies that are kind of great and amazing because they're so bad, but also always have one or two things in them that are kind of great and that you think are better than. It's the kind of movie that when it's the fact it's in focus is a surprise.
Yeah,
that's pretty well shot and competently enough made, and you're just like, this shouldn't even be in focus.
No, and it's also I do have to say it was lit worse than any movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
Well, you can find worse lighting, but it's pretty rough. It's just basically they had two lights, and one of them was broken.
Everything is flat. Everything is flat.
Yeah.
Bright and flat, and there are a couple of shots. There's a shot. There's the lighting on the dad though. They do something creative when the dad is talking about Jason. He's talking about the stuff and organisms. And they do a sort of bright light on him.
Yeah.
But then there's a shot when Michael Moriarty goes to visit Danny Aiello. There's a shot of like Danny Aiello and the dog and Michael Moriarty's legs. I'm like, who framed this shot?
It's incredible. I remember that shot, and then the next shot is another really funny shot, which is. I get the feeling because Danny Aiello was there and they had like probably a whole day at that because it was in an estate somewhere.
Right.
And it was supposed to be Danny Aiello's house, and he was supposed to be what, the Surgeon General or something? What was he? The head of the Food and Drug Administration or something like that.
Yeah.
And so he's this rich guy, and he lives in a fancy place with this big guard dog. And number one, Danny Aiello doesn't seem the type to have a giant guard dog like that. It didn't seem like, that he was comfortable at all, even though he was supposed to be uncomfortable. It seemed like he was already uncomfortable. And there's a tracking shot that they just like, well, we got track, we got Aiello, so we should probably use this track. And they just do this semicircle around his legs. So they have this shot of his legs, and then they go to the other side of the room, and then they track around and go back to his legs again. You're like, why?
Bet Bowles just made a comment, and I want to thank her because she jumped the gun a little bit. This is something I wanted to bring up. But she says, thanks so much. So thanks for making me watch this for what it was. But the best character in this movie is Michael Moriarty's toupee. And
truer words were never spoken.
That's in my notes.
It's been said before, but this is a tarantula on his head. It literally.
It's a different color than his hair, and I've never seen anything like that in a movie.
The only thing I've seen like it is on Christopher Walken's head sometimes, and that was when I was like, why haven't they played brothers in something?
Or okay, do you know who I realized Michael Moriarty is? The undiscovered step brother of John Voight. I think they were hit in the head by the same bat that turned them into sort of like slightly dazed right-wing nut jobs.
Is that true about more? I mean, I don't. Now we're getting political and disparaging on the show all at once, and I don't know. I'm not comfortable with that.
Moriarty went a little off the rails.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, I knew he was an eccentric guy, and I just thought he was like kind of a method actor who freaked people out.
He freaked me out one day.
You worked with him?
I worked with him for one day on Law and Order.
You worked with him for one day, and he freaked you out.
Well, in a rehearsal, I had a role that was really kind of boring. I was playing a genetics expert witness, and when I got cross-examined by him, he takes me down a peg, but there wasn't really anything that interesting about the scene, so I decided to laugh a little bit at one of his questions, slightly dismissively, just a little, not laughing, but just kind of like be a little derisive in my response to one of his questions. And he asked the question and started to turn away. And as I answered it, I kind of was like, well, and he turned around and for the rest of the scene just came after me in a fury. And I thought, I kind of screwed up. I crossed the line. But as soon as they called cut, he relaxed and he said, that was really great. Keep that. It gives me something to do, which was nice.
He wasn't pointing at you and talking to the director when he said, keep that. Okay. I just want to clarify.
No. But it was, it's always nice when when you've got one little tiny scene with somebody and you can actually get something going with them.
I love that. That's so cool. It happens very rarely, but when it does, it's nice. I had that.
And I was so excited to work with him because I thought he was spectacular on that show.
I remember him as being good, but I don't remember that show. It was always kind of on somewhere. And you just
it's still always kind of.
I know it's always you're just kind of aware of it, even when it's not playing. It's playing somewhere. It's
background music at this point.
Yeah, I had that experience with Chris Noth on a show, and never met the guy before. Don't. But I'm a little skeptical of working with celebrities because you're like, oh, what are they gonna? Are they gonna be there for your coverage? Are they gonna be nice? Are they gonna be usually pretty nice? And he totally hooked me up. He helped me out.
Yeah.
He's like, set up a little moment. Don't bite your lips. I'm telling a nice story.
No, I'm thinking about my Chris Noth story and wondering if I can tell it on the air.
Oh, probably not. If you're even thinking about it, you probably shouldn't.
What he did to me before a take on Law and Order, like now would get somebody in trouble.
Oh, okay. Don't get him in trouble.
No, it made me laugh at the time, but
Uh-huh.
it was something incredibly inappropriate. Which you know me, I appreciated it.
Yeah.
I like inappropriate.
Well,
things.
he knows he played the room. He knew what's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
And Paul Sorvino. It was a scene with Chris Noth and Paul Sorvino.
this is weird how this is coming full circle. But Larry Cohen touches so many lives.
Yeah.
Now,
what are your connections? So you have Larry Cohen connections. What are all of your Larry Cohen
the
connections?
The first movie I was in was a Larry Cohen movie.
Full Moon High?
Full Moon High.
Oh, my God.
Now, I think I had been in one other thing that got cut out, like the little scene got cut, and I was an extra in some things, but I had the first line of dialogue in something in a Larry Cohen movie, and I'm very proud of that. I know that our other brother isn't quite as proud, maybe, as I am of that credit. I think he should be. I love that movie. I think it's a piece of great film history.
I guess I have to see it at some point.
You've never seen it? You've never seen Full Moon High?
I've never seen Full Moon High.
Wow. Well, we'll have to change that.
Okay.
Well, no, I think probably you signed some kind of a contract with Adam that you did. I know. I just broke that contract. I wasn't supposed to see it.
Or certainly not talk about it on the air.
No.
Yeah. All right. And what other connections? You have other connections to him through this movie.
Well, there is. Are there other connections? There's Aiello. And I'm a Eric Bogosian fan. I don't know what else.
Aiello. Well, this isn't a connection, but I used to go to O'Neill's Balloon and have a burger and a beer, which was owned by Patrick O'Neill. That doesn't count, does it? Eating.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what's happening right now.
O'Neill's Balloon was across from Lincoln Center, and it was a restaurant bar.
What does it have to do with this?
Patrick O'Neill owned it.
Oh, okay.
And Patrick O'Neill was in this movie. So I ate a burger and had a beer in a bar owned by somebody in this movie.
I can say the same thing. I probably did that at one point, but it was not as a memorable experience for me. It really wasn't. So you'd see, you saw Q, so you kind of knew what you were in for here. This is, I feel is a step down from Q.
Yeah, I think it's a big. I mean, Q was a passable movie of a sort. This is like bad high school people running around with a camera.
Well, it's also danger time for me when a movie that's already, just because of how it's made and the nature of its subject matter, is teetering into high camp anyway, and then when filmmakers make the brilliant mistake of leaning into that and kind of making it campy on purpose at the same time,
right?
That's really bothers me. So there was a lot of that in this movie. It didn't really know, like, Q commits to being a monster movie,
right?
It's just a monster movie, and it's just fun how low budget it is.
Yeah,
but this is kind of like got some stuff in it where it feels like Larry Cohen thinks he's Mel Brooks for a few minutes.
Yep.
And let me tell you, he's a lot of things. he's not Mel Brooks.
And he's also he's like, I'm gonna be Mel Brooks. I'm gonna make a monster movie, and there's gonna be social commentary in this.
A lot of it.
I mean, environmental health conscious commentary.
Yeah, and kind of anti-corporate,
Yeah.
anti, Monsanto vibes, which, look, I'm all for that. That's great. But the mashup is kind of pulpy.
It doesn't work. Okay, let's give the movie its due though. There, I want to address some things seriously, as if these were like they were actually really making a movie.
Yeah.
And let's talk about some things in the script. The kid, his parents get taken over by the stuff, right? Which makes them bad people, and the kid realizes something's wrong with mom and dad. But here's my problem: his mom and dad, before they eat the stuff and get taken over by the bad stuff, are the worst parents anybody has ever had. So you would be happy if they turned into pod people. That would be a step up. I mean, his father gives him a spanking for being awake in the middle of the night and trying to get a snack because he's hungry.
Aren't they already eating the stuff though?
I I I get, but I don't think they'd been really like taken over by it. Yes, you're right. They have already started eating it, but they hadn't gotten weird and woo woo
Well, what
yet.
you're saying is we should be given a chance to see what they're like before the stuff takes over their minds.
Right. They're horrible people,
Bad.
and then they get horrible in a different way. They get, oh, Danny, you come join us, eat the
Well, yeah,
stuff.
then it turns full, Invasion of the Body Snatchers,
Yeah.
Invaders from Mars.
Um. The and And then here's another thing I don't understand. In the scene where the parents like are going to force him to eat the stuff, he says like, "Okay, oh yes, I want some," and he runs away. He goes away with it, goes upstairs,
Yeah.
and fills up a cup, dumps out the stuff, and fills up a cup with shaving cream, and comes down and starts eating that instead. And I had some trouble with that. I can't picture somebody actually eating a cup full of menthol shaving. Like, wouldn't that just kill you or make you vomit? I mean, how does he do that?
Well, I mean, to the movie's credit, he does run off and get sick. He doesn't
Oh,
like
that's
it.
right.
Um, it's in the details. You have to really,
Uh,
really watch this film deeply. You have to really get with it, and then it starts to really kind of open up like the bouquet of a fine wine.
okay, then I have another question. In the scene where Andrea Marcovicci or Marcovicci, however you pronounce her name, and our hero are sharing a hotel room, and the stuff comes in and attacks, and it gets all over his face. It's stuck on his face. Her idea of how to get it
It's
off
the
his
best.
face
The
is
best.
to set his head on fire.
It's the best, and I love how slowly she does it. She's like, "Oh, I got it, I got it, I got a plan," and she goes over and she does it like they have like an oil wick candle or something like
Yeah,
an oil lamp, and which every motel room has sitting on the bedside, right?
of course. Why
And
wouldn't you?
she takes it apart and she's like pours it gently like it's salad dressing over his face as he's screaming, and then she lights his head on fire. Remind me never ever to get stuck in an emergency with her.
Yeah. Okay, but then not only does she light his head on fire, but in the logic of this movie, it works.
It
It
does.
turns his head into a giant toasted marshmallow, and somehow it saves his life.
It does, because well, the stuff is like the blob. It's like an amorphous blob creature that can apparently leap onto your face, and then you think
Yeah.
it get burned, and I think it just jumps off. They
Okay,
built
but
an entire rotating set for that sequence.
no,
That's
that
what's
was, you know where that set came from? That was the room from Nightmare on Elm Street.
oh, they use the same one.
They used the same room.
I'm surprised that they were that. Where is that room? I'm assuming in Hollywood. No.
Yeah, or maybe it wasn't the room, but maybe I read that it was the room, but maybe it was like the mechanism. Maybe they redressed it or something, but maybe it was the mechanism that did the
Maybe
rotational rotating.
I'll have to look into that because I would have assumed Wes Craven would be on the West Coast doing that movie, and that Larry Cohen, I think, shot exclusively on the 34th Street. I don't think he ever left 34th Street, right?
Well, maybe we're lying on
Maybe.
IMDb trivia.
Well, back in that time, everybody had a rotating room. There
Yeah,
was 2001, and Poltergeist had one, and
it was that same room. Inception.
this is where he got the idea for Inception.
Yeah.
In fact,
I think all of Inception was
Mm-hmm.
from watching this movie on
yeah,
acid.
Chris Nolan was in the UK, like watching the video nasties, and this was on. And he was like, I've mapped my future out. Who knew that Larry Cohen was such an inspiration to him?
Yeah, hard to believe.
Did you like the fact that the entire third act action sequence is based on Raiders of the Lost Ark? Somehow they cram that in there. I was even for Larry Cohen. I was like, really? Wow.
The Paul Sorvino has some lines in this movie. That performance is beyond.
It's yeah.
Two favorite pieces of dialogue from this movie:
Give it to me.
when Michael Moriarty says, "You're chocolate chip Charlie," and Garrett Morris says, "Well, I sure as hell ate the Kentucky Colonel." I don't know where that came from.
Are you saying that's your favorite line from the? I didn't hear you quite. Is that your favorite line from the movie?
No, my favorite line from the movie is, and you can't believe your ears, Paul Sorvino saying, "I will permit this colored man to speak, but speak one word of the commie party line or one word in code, and I will blow his head off."
Yeah.
How do they put that in a movie?
I have no idea. How does that? How does the Paul Sorvino character own radio stations in Georgia? Why?
Well, because he's an army colonel. Yeah.
I should have thought of that. I also would like to note that apparently, those tax breaks in the 80s in Georgia clearly were great, but the stipulation was then that you had to mention Georgia like 5 times in the screenplay.
Oh, really? Is that how it worked? Well,
that's what it apparently was like. They were always like, I have a radio station down in Georgia.
right.
Let's go down to that facility in Georgia, where it's like, doesn't make a lot of sense.
Did you know that the woman in one of the commercials, that the woman who says, "Where's the stuff," was an actress named Clara Peller, who was the woman who said, "Where's the beef?"
I do know that. I recognized her immediately. Did you get the joke? Because that implies your age. If you get that joke in this movie, you are officially extremely old.
Hey, I'm even older than that. I'm Hello Betty old.
Yeah, me too.
I'm actually older even than that. That's a spicy meatball old.
Yeah, you're older than Anthony Spaghetti Day.
I am. You can take Salem out of the country, but you can't take the country out of Salem old.
You're so old. They used to put cocaine in the soda pop.
Yes. Those were the days.
So, I just don't even know what to say about my favorite lines. I think my favorite line is actually Sorvino. They cut to him and he's got his troops around him.
Yeah.
His Navy SEAL troops, and he's like, they're all getting
played by actual SEALs.
Yes, exactly, and they're all getting into taxi cabs to go to this mission, which just gives you an idea of what we're doing here. This is the Mel Brooks part. It's like they're going to arrive by taxi, and he says, and don't forget to get cash receipts. I just thought that was great.
Bet Bowles has a great observation here. Um, she says, if I may say with apologies, in the hotel room when the stuff came out to kill the guy, but clearly missed the wall, so the guy climbed up to walk into the stuff.
Yeah, bet
Yeah,
I
you can only
we
do one take, so you got to make it work.
we noticed that last night we saw it, and we were howling with laughter. He just literally jumps into it to save the shot. That guy's a hero.
Yeah,
he's a hero. I love, it turns out that the stuff, it's kind of like this is something I'd almost like to start like a thing every week that we do.
Okay.
What would you pair this movie with? Like double bill? What would be the perfect double bill here?
The perfect double bill with the stuff would maybe be maybe The Blob.
That would be good.
Or I'm trying to think if there are any movies about dessert. Maybe this and Au Chocolat. I don't know.
Babette's Feast.
Babette's Feast,
Yeah.
or Tom Popo.
Tom Popo would be good. I would go with I think They Live would be a good combo with this.
Roddy Piper. That's got some great.
It's kind of
stuff
like
in it.
They Live with Nutella.
They Live with Nutella.
So, there's no real point in describing the plot of this movie. It is a series of accidents on film. Mishaps of celluloid. But the moments are great. There are great times to be had. I have a favorite moment, or I have two favorite moments.
Okay.
There's one legitimately funny moment in it that's like just drop dead funny to me, which is the guy who runs the post office in the small town. There's a moment where Michael Moriarty is trying to grab a letter off of his desk, and they have a little tug of war over this letter. It's like out of a Preston Sturges movie. It's absolutely hysterical. It's just a little bit of physical comedy that completely worked because they had two actors who knew what they were doing. Then my real favorite thing in the movie, though, is one close up, and you mentioned the scene, and it's when they light the dad. They're lighting the dad really weird at the dinner table. He's really far gone, and they're like, the family's talking to that little kid in like commercial speak.
Yeah.
Which is actually kind of creepy. Like it gets a little surreal and creepy. And the kid's like, "Why are you all talking like it's in a commercial?" And the stuff is making them sing its praises all the time, like they're talking about it in a commercial.
Right.
And then the dad finds out he's eating shaving cream because he takes the cup of shaving cream, and then in close up, he sticks his finger in it, and he tastes it. And the expression, the disappointment and anger on his face in that lighting is genius. It's David Lynch worthy.
Well, my favorite moment has to be Andrea Marcovicci cracking her neck.
Why does she crack her neck? She's always cracking her knuckles and her neck, and what's happening?
I don't understand.
Did she not know that we could see that in the scene when she was doing it?
I don't know. Oh, no, actually, I have a favorite moment. Here's my favorite moment. My favorite moment is when they're shooting the commercial, and it's the women on the catwalk. Andrea is a producer of commercials for The Stuff. That's how she initially connects with Michael Moriarty.
Right.
And the models are going up and down the runway for her shooting the commercial, and she's giving them direction as directors do, which means that the shot is MOS, right? So she said, yeah, turn now, look like this, now do this. And yet at the same time, they've got a boom guy standing there with a microphone, with a big boom, holding a microphone up over the models walking on the catwalk who have no lines. That is the level of thought that went into this movie.
Well, another great thing about that scene is that they make great pains to show you a Steadicam rig in the movie, but they don't use it. They couldn't actually rent it to use it to shoot the movie, but
Yeah.
they show it to you.
How much is the Steadicam? It's $5,000 a day. It's only $1,000 a day if you just show it but don't use it.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll show it.
You gotta love the walkie-talkie in the ice cream cart, in the stuff cart. That was pretty great.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Spies everywhere. You know, that was pretty good. This wouldn't be a bad, you know, combo with trying to think with like French Connection either too, because it gets really intense with this case that Michael Moriarty's on.
Right. Or All the President's Men.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the best piece of trivia I found out about this movie is that Larry Cohen, it's not even about this movie, because this movie is not, I mean, it's got a lot of value as a oddity, but it's not his finest moment. Larry Cohen directed Black Caesar and It's Alive at the same time. He wrote and directed Black Caesar during the week, and on the weekends shot It's Alive, or vice versa.
Now, so who is it? Who is it? How do you love movies so much, and yet
and get it so wrong?
Like, what are you doing?
Look, I take umbrage with that a little bit.
Okay.
I think that love is different than talent or ability. You can love things and not be talented at it, and I think that's this movie is really watchable. As bad as silly as it is, as many as mistakes as they make, it's pretty watchable. And that's all about, you know, the crazy love that Larry Cohen had for making movies. It was in his style. Like, Ed Wood loved making movies. Ed Wood loved movies. He wanted to be so good at it.
Well, I guess I have to say about this movie, this was the first time I saw it. And I've noticed somewhat of a pattern with some of the movies that you really love that I will watch for the first time. And I'm thinking to myself, this is a piece of crap and I don't like it. And then I realize, but I would watch it a second time and really enjoy it.
Yes.
And
yes, that's
so
true.
I'm starting to get your sort of this ethic of yours, that it's because I'm coming in and saying, I'm going to watch this movie and evaluate it as a work, as a serious work, or an attempt at a serious work. And I feel like you come in and you say, I'm gonna watch this and have an experience. And the movie may be objectively horrible and bad and poorly crafted, but that may be very separate from my experience watching it. And then watching it the second time, I'm really going to enjoy everything that I know around how this train wreck happened.
Yeah. That's pretty apt, you know. I mean, I guess I do kind of take movies at that level, you know. I mean, I guess I want to meet them at their level, like, because I don't. There's so many different kinds of movie experiences, and you know, you could just argue that the well-made part of it is just the fact, like I said, that it's in focus and it got released, and like it's a movie. Like, there's a lot of movies that don't even make it there.
I think that's what it says about it on Rotten Tomatoes. It's in focus and it got released.
You know, I mean, it's better than, you know, that's better averages than Trauma. Trauma movies didn't all get released in normal fashion, and they're not in focus.
Yeah, and I should be careful about what I say about a movie like this, because the script of mine that's been optioned is, I think, better craft. I would like to think it is much better crafted than this script.
It is.
But it owes. I think what my movie aspires to be is a very good movie that could not exist were it not for Q and Trauma and all of those movies, because the joke of my movie is that it's a good version, a good take on that idea. So
Okay.
I owe a debt to this kind of movie. My movie could not exist without this kind of movie.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're kind of like you're riffing very much on movies almost exactly like this. I mean,
Yeah.
if Larry Cohen had made a movie about a similar subject matter, it would be very much like your script, except with a worse script.
And if I can't get good producers interested in my movie, I may well end up selling it to somebody like Larry Cohen just in an attempt to get it made.
I think you should start with bad producers. Like start there. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's unfair to put this like okay, so this movie you could pair it with Invasion of the Body Snatchers because there's a very similar thing going on here, and it would be kind of unfair to compare them though because as similar as they are, structurally and as many things as they're trying to maybe say that might be similar about our society and our how people are easily kind of led into groupthink about stuff, and you can't compare them. I mean, it's like one is a hot dog by the side of the road by a highway somewhere
That's been run over.
that's been partially run over, but you have a bite and you're like, that's not. I don't think that's going to kill me actually, and that's a great night for some people. I mean, it's a completely different set of rules and regulations. I mean, Larry Cohen made this movie in like 40 minutes. It took him less time to shoot it than to see it. It's a miracle.
Yes. Well, that's what happens when you shoot with 3 cameras. You can make a movie that's longer than the actual production.
I mean, look, if all the movies that we ever saw were really, really good, I think we'd like the way you're talking good, like thoughtfully constructed and well thought out by professional writers and stuff like.
Yeah.
We'd be missing so much joy in this world.
Oh, yeah. And also, if all of the movies that we critiqued on this show were well-crafted movies, people would just realize how little I know about what I'm talking about.
Oh, we have to, we have to punch down at things. Otherwise, what are we going to do?
Yeah, right.
Hardly. I would love to have Larry Cohen's career. I think he's amazing. I mean, I know. I just think he's great. Up there with the greats, like Troma and early De Palma and
De Palma. He directed Carrie, right?
Yeah, that good. Yeah, good on you.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, well done.
All right. Well, so next week we are doing Snake Eyes.
Yes, which is
but not the new Snake Eyes.
No.
The old Snake Eyes from what year was it?
I
98?
think it's 98. Let's say 98, but it's Brian De Palma's Snake Eyes with
Brian De Palma's
with none other than Nicolas Cage.
Snake Eyes De Palma, which is that is 1998 with Nicolas Cage, Gary Sinise, Stan Shaw, John Hurd, Kevin Dunn, and Carla Gugino, one of my all-time faves.
I'm excited, and it's our first Nick Cage movie, which is an event.
Yep. All right. So
that might be a Thanksgiving holiday treat for everybody. Is just a run of Nick Cage movies.
A run of Nick Cage movies for Halloween.
For Thanksgiving.
For Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We already had Halloween.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, please join us next week. Tell all of your friends and tell your enemies too to tune in to our show or to listen to it on the podcast. And have a great week. We'll see you soon.
Good night, buddy.
Good night.